The front door slammed so hard the picture frames rattled. Emily stood in the hallway with a suitcase in one hand and her phone in the other, her face red with anger. "So that's it," she snapped. "You're choosing money over your family." I stood in the kitchen, hands gripping the edge of the counter. "No," I said quietly. "I'm choosing common sense." Her laugh was sharp. "Common sense? My brother is trying to build something. He just needs support." "He's had support," I replied. "From me 3 times." She crossed her arms. "That was different." "How?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable. "He just had bad luck." "Bad luck," I said. "Emily, I gave Jake $30,000 over the last 4 years. That's an exaggeration." "No," I said calmly, "it's not." She shook her head. "You're keeping score against my family now." I took a slow breath. "I'm protecting ours." The words hung in the air. She stared at me like I had just betrayed her. "You're unbelievable." Then she grabbed her suitcase and pulled the door open. "Fine," she said. "If you won't support my family, I'm going to stay with mine." The door slammed again, and just like that, she was gone. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. A text from Emily. "If you want your wife back, help Jake with the business." I stared at the message. Then I locked my phone and set it down on the table. Because this time, I wasn't giving in. Jake had always been charming, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and convince people he had everything under control. The first time he asked for money was 3 years after Emily, and I got married. We were sitting at her parents' house in Ohio when he brought it up. "Listen," he said, leaning forward across the dining table. "I've got this great opportunity." "What kind of opportunity?" I asked. "A food truck business." Emily lit up immediately. "That sounds amazing." Jake nodded confidently. "I've already scoped out locations. Downtown Cincinnati, festivals, college campuses, it's a goldmine. And you just need a little startup money," Emily said. Jake looked at me. 20 grand. I nearly choked on my drink, but Emily squeezed my arm. "Babes, he'll pay you back." Jake nodded quickly. 6 months max. Against my better judgment. I agreed. 6 months passed, then 8, then a year. The food truck disappeared. No profits, no repayment. When I asked Jake about it, he shrugged. Food costs skyrocketed, it just didn't work out. Emily defended him. He tried, so I let it go. 2 years later, Jake had another idea. A landscaping company. This time he only needed 10,000. Emily said the same thing. He learned from the food truck. I hesitated, but eventually I agreed again. That business lasted 9 months. Then Jake stopped answering calls. Emily told me the business had closed. Again, no repayment. The third time was last year. A cryptocurrency mining operation. That one cost me 15,000. It lasted 4 months, then vanished like the others. And now, Jake had another brilliant idea. This time it was a craft brewery startup. He needed $50,000. That's when I said no. The next morning, I got a call from Emily's father. "David," he said coldly. "Morning, Richard. You're causing problems. I'm setting boundaries." He scoffed. "Jake is family. So am I. You're being selfish. I've given Jake $45,000. That's an investment." "No," I said, "it's a loss." There was a long pause. Then Richard said something that made my stomach tighten. "You're going to regret humiliating my son." And he hung up. 3 days later, things got worse. I came home from work and found 2 police officers standing at my front door. "Mr. Carter," one asked. "Yes, we need to ask you a few questions." My heart dropped. "About what?" "Your brother-in-law has filed a complaint." "What kind of complaint?" The officer checked his notepad. "He claims you threatened him." My jaw tightened. "I never threatened him. He says you told him you'd ruin his life if he kept asking for money." "That's ridiculous. Would you mind coming down to the station to clarify?" I knew I didn't have a choice. At the station, the interrogation room felt smaller than it should have. Detective Harris sat across from me. "So Jake Miller says you became aggressive during an argument." "We had a disagreement," I said. "That's it." "What about the text messages?" "What text messages?" He slid a printed sheet across the table. I read it. My stomach turned. It looked like a message from me. "Ask me for money again and I'll destroy you." "That's not from me," I said immediately. "It's from your phone number." "I didn't send that." Detective Harris studied my face. "You're saying someone fabricated it?" "Yes." He leaned back in his chair. "Do you have proof?" I thought for a moment. Then something clicked. "Yes." 2 months earlier, after Jake's third failed business, I had installed a home security system. Cameras, audio recording, cloud backup, including the living room, where Jake and I had discussed his brewery idea. I looked at Detective Harris. "I have the conversation recorded." 2 days later, we played the footage. Jake sitting on my couch, Emily beside him, Jake pitching the brewery plan, me calmly saying no. Jake getting angry, but there were no threats. None. Detective Harris paused the video. This actually shows him pressuring you. Exactly. Then the detective leaned forward. One more thing. What? We checked the metadata on that text message. And it was sent from a messaging app, not your phone. My pulse quickened. Meaning someone spoofed your number. 2 weeks later, the truth exploded. Jake had fabricated the message. He wanted leverage, because he had already told investors his brother-in-law was funding the brewery. When I refused, he panicked, so he tried to pressure me. Legally, Emily showed up at my house that night. Her eyes red. I didn't know, she whispered. You believed him. He's my brother, and I'm your husband. She looked at the floor. I'm sorry, but something inside me had shifted. 3 failed businesses, false accusations, police investigations, all because I said no. You chose him, I said quietly. I was wrong. Maybe. She stepped closer. Can we fix this? I looked at the house around us. The silence, the months of tension. I don't know. A week later, Jake was charged with filing a false police report and fraud. His investors were furious. The brewery collapsed before it even started. Emily stayed at her parents' house. We talked occasionally, but things were different now, because sometimes the biggest betrayal isn't the person asking for money. It's the person who expects you to give it no matter what. And this time, I didn't cave. So did I do the right thing by setting up boundaries? Comment and let me know. And do subscribe us and click on bell icon.